The following interview is a Blanchard Community production. This is Leadership Unfiltered, Community Conversations, an interview series dedicated to diving into leadership topics relevant to today's world. I'm your host, Sarah Hempel, a community builder, relationship guru, and passionate difference maker. Our aim is to hold a safe space for difficult conversations as we shed light on leadership around the world. So, join us as we dive into Leadership Unfiltered. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 11th and final episode for 2025 of Leadership Unfiltered Community Conversations. I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she, her. And this month, we're going to talk about how trust is complicated. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you all to my friend and former leader, Heather Balcerek. Heather is a senior learning and development leader with a career spanning from Verizon, Apple, Amazon, and now Maximus, where she designs leadership programs that empower organizations to grow with purpose. Heather brings both depth and practicality to the conversation on how leaders can thrive in complex environments. She's also recognized for her engaging communication style and her knack for making leadership development both impactful and enjoyable. Heather believes that great leadership blends structure with humanity, and she brings that balance to every conversation. And I can attest to that. I'm so excited to have you here with us today, Heather. Thank you for joining me.
I am so excited to be here, Sarah. It is so awkward to hear your own bio. I'm just going to be very honest about that.
Yes, I think
Um,
that's my least favorite thing when I hear people introduce me.
but no, it is an honor to be here and to get to share this conversation in particular about trust. So I'm very, very excited.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off and start by having you tell us a little bit about you. I like to connect with the person. We heard your bio, so maybe if you have something fun to share with us and tell us about how you landed in the leadership space.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I am definitely a lifetime learner. I love to learn and I take certifications and workshops, and I'm always like just trying to dive into learning and development to empower myself to be a better just steward for the audience that I serve, whether it's through a podcast or it's at work or it's on LinkedIn or just, with being a mentor to people. Like that is something that is just, I love to do. I'm definitely a nerd and will geek out on leadership development and anytime you want. Like, let's talk about that, not about the weather. Like, come on, let's
Perfect.
dive in.
Yes.
You want to talk like, let's get some models over here. We'll talk and deep dive. Um, but how I landed in kind of like training leadership development, how this ended up being my path. Um when people say, most people in this field, like, you didn't go to school for this, like you just kind
Right.
of ended up here. And a couple of months ago, we're having this conversation. I was thinking back and I was like, when I was a senior in college, my senior capstone project, I was
Hmm.
a psychology major. And my project, I wrote a training manual for the company I worked for.
Okay.
And I was like, it dawned on me, I was like, okay, well, wait a minute. So yeah, my degree was psychology, but like I've been doing this, like this is what I've primed myself to do
Yeah.
since college, like, or and even before then. But landing in leadership development, I've always been a leader.
Hmm.
I've always seen myself as a leader. Even back in high school, I was captain of the color guard and things like that. But I believe everybody is a leader. So I want to help people do that. I want to help people lead better because there's just so much that can happen when you have a good leader.
Yep. I love
Oh,
that because in the Blanchard community, we talk a lot about how, you know, people say to me, well, I'm not a leader, I'm just an individual contributor. And I'm like, no, but you can be a leader. You start as a leader of yourself. And then you can grow from there. And like for myself, I'm an individual contributor, but I lead through a lot of influence across our organization. Um, I hear the passion in your voice when you talk about this. And so I absolutely love that we get to have this conversation and like just really break it down.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk
Um,
about how trust is complicated today. And so I kind of want to start by asking you to define trust, like not Wikipedia, not the dictionary, but what does it really mean to you specifically in a work setting?
when I was thinking through this, in a work setting, trust, it's the foundation of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have true collaboration without it. You can't coach or develop somebody without it. You can't make a sale without it. Like everything starts with trust. You have
Mm-hmm.
to build from there to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
That is how it's the foundation.
Yeah, I love that. I talk a lot about that with the community, and people will ask, you know, so you're a community manager. What does that mean? What does that look like? And I'm like, I like to describe it as I'm the warm hug that comes around all of our clients and prospects. And I really am trying to curate this environment where trust is the foundation. People can know that they can come together and trust Blanchard as an organization, trust the people they meet and interact with within the community. So I'm same thought process there.
Um,
So what happens when someone is trustworthy, but you still don't feel like you can totally trust them?
so this question, it reminds me of like the age-old question of is trust given or is trust earned?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the answer is both.
Yeah.
It's a trick question.
Yeah.
It's both. And there are loads of trustworthy people
Mm-hmm.
in our organizations, loads of them. The problem, what's missing here is that those trustworthy people aren't extending trust to others, right? They're not trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the basis of kind of where my like passion about trust and putting this really comes from a lot of the work I do and study that I do of Franklin Covey materials. And so a lot of the information that I'm going to share today actually comes from a book that was put out last year and called Trust and Inspire. And it's truly inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
So just I just want you to know like a lot of this is just stuff that has it lives in my brain right now and how I'm trying to bring it to our organization and bring it to my realm. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a little backstory about where some of this is
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
from. But the message, when we think about giving trust, right? It's not blind trust though. You're not just like, I trust you, go forth and
Mm-hmm.
conquer.
Right.
It's not that. It's not blind trust. That does not work. That just sets everybody up for failure. You have to have an agreement with that person, right? What is expected? It's accountability. You are creating expectations together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talk about mutually having mutually agreed upon expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are far more valuable to trust than dictating expectations,
Mm-hmm.
right? People need to have the opportunity to push back, to have
Yeah.
input, right? So to help come up with things that are realistic,
Mm-hmm.
and that can work from both points of view. Um, so, if you're, you're trying to work with somebody that's trustworthy, right? But you don't trust them, mm, nope.
Right.
You have to give them the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to show you that. Set the expectations together. What
Right.
does this look like? You can't sustain trust without accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a collaboration, and yet having that trust allows us to collaborate further. Like it's
Yeah,
just the chicken or the egg, right? It's
yeah,
it's that both.
yeah, yeah. It's if you don't have trust, it's not collaboration.
Right.
It's consensus.
Yeah.
It's not a true you're not really working together
Mm-hmm.
on something if you
Yeah.
don't have that trust.
Yeah. So sometimes, we'll hear senior leaders say, we're all on the same team. We're one team. Um, what are they missing when they say that, but their people don't really feel the same way?
Mm. I mean, you can't be one team if you don't have trust. Like
Yeah.
just you know, the higher you move up in an organization, the more disconnected you are from day-to-day operations.
Yep.
I mean, so saying one team, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel or mean anything to those people that are
Right.
on the front lines.
Right.
But a senior leader, you don't have the ability to go and, see, be there day to day because you got other things to do, right? You're working on strategy, you're trying to move your
Right.
company forward. This is where that disconnect begins.
Mm-hmm.
So what what helps kind of outline this and helps you to really be one team and make this connection, it's communication.
Mm-hmm.
It's communicating the vision, the strategy, the mission down through the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
That's key. It's not easy.
Which is
Definitely
why
not
it's
easy.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. When a new strategy comes out, or a new direction or whatever from the top level needs to they make those goals, and then they cascade them to their next level and they make their goals, and then they cascade them down again, so on and so forth. And the problem happens when this game of telephone that you're doing
Mm-hmm.
is when you get to some team and their leader goes, okay, here are our goals, but then doesn't say how that goal impacts the one before it and the one above it, and
Mm-hmm.
connects it back to the top.
Right.
Right. And so then there's no connection back to what's our company doing? What are we focused on? And so then they start to go different directions.
Right.
Right. It's not connected to the strategy of the company. And
Mm-hmm.
individual department goals, they're not, it's not seen or understood as how
Yeah.
these things connect. You can't, if you can't link it back to your
Mm-hmm.
company strategy, you're never going to feel like one team.
Right.
And that creates silos. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, we're going to do it our way.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. That's and this happens in small companies. I've been in really small, like mom and pop companies. This
Mm-hmm.
happens with this happens with large companies
Right.
as well. And it's much easier to say than it is to do. It's
Yeah.
something though, as a leader, again, leader being you, anybody, regardless
Yep.
of where you are, striving to make the connection and make sure you understand it and the people around you understand it. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, ask the question.
Yeah.
Ask your leader. Push back in a respectful way. Like, don't be
Yep.
like, you must tell me. But like, just say
Yeah.
like, okay, hey, I get this goal. I want to make sure I understand when, especially in L&D,
Mm-hmm.
especially in learning and development, if you're trying to like make your goal, link back to the strategy, if your company strategy is organic growth, well, how in the heck am I going to L&D? What
Right.
does that look like? Okay, no, like, okay, how do we help? How do we do that? Okay, we're
Yeah.
going to empower the people that have to go out and get this organic growth with the tools to do it. That's
Yep.
how my work connects back to that main strategy.
Yep.
And so thinking about this, thinking about like back to trust, how does this play in here? Like, how does this
Yeah.
pull this together? Those mutually agreed upon expectations. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's where it is. As the message follows down,
Yep.
each level is extending the trust and agreeing upon those expectations to accomplish those goals.
Mm. Yep. I love that. I love how you reference the game of telephone because it's so true. The message can get so distorted the further away it gets from the original speaker. But that's something that I've started at Blanchard is I take our 2027 aim statement. So I look at our vision and I made, I've got a sticker that says I'm silently creating a spreadsheet for that right here. And that's kind of what I did. Created a spreadsheet where I pulled out like the different pieces from that aim statement. And then I looked at what the strategy was, that I planned for the next year in community. And I went through and I tick boxed, does it help support these pieces? And some of them, they were super fun ideas, really innovative, but they didn't actually connect to any of those. And I was like, okay, that helps me kind of itemize, like prioritize where we should spend our time and our energy because the fun things aren't necessarily the ones that are going to get us to meet those goals and missions of the organization. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
super important.
something thinking about, like, you have all these great ideas and all these fun things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't match up, it can
Uh-huh.
hurt. You can be like, oh, but I wanted to do that. Right. But you can't fit a square peg in a round hole. Like
Yep.
you can't, and you have to be willing. This is part of leadership. As you grow, you
Yep.
have to be willing to say, you know what? Great idea. Maybe
Yep.
not right now. Maybe I can share it and somebody else can take it and do something with it. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
can reinvent it, but you have to, as a leader, be able to let it go
Yeah.
and take the pivots and take the turns as they come in and trust your own judgment.
Yes. So true. So I love giving our listeners something actionable that they can take away, they can implement today, tomorrow. What is one small thing that a leader could do today or tomorrow to help their team feel more seen? Um, and I know that maybe sounds a little different to folks, but I'm kind of setting it up for that psychological safety space at work that goes right along with trust.
Yeah. I loved this question, and as I was thinking through it, as a leader, if you want your team to feel more seen, you have to start with the right mindset. You have to start with your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to think about, ask yourself, how do I see my team? Right? How do I trust them? Am I showing them that? Do I trust some people and not others? Right?
Right.
What are you putting out there to your team? Because if you're putting up walls, or you're not giving trust, or you're not having those mutually agreed upon things, expectations, your team's not going to feel seen. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
feel micromanaged. They're going
Right.
to feel like, what am I doing here? I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
checking the boxes. I don't feel challenged. I don't feel creative. I don't feel developed.
Right.
And so the one thing you can do today to help your team feel seen is to make sure you're seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a quote that I pulled out because I was like, I can't say this any better. Um, I will always give credit where somebody says it better, and I
Yes.
can't think of a better way. So this is a Covey quote, and this is how he's describing this, and it says, "Within your circle of influence, you become an island of excellence in a sea of mediocrity, an island of trust in a sea of micromanagement, an island of inspiration in a sea of indifference. You lead the way. You look in the mirror and ask yourself, how can you change? You model the behavior for those around you." That's it starts with you. It starts with
Yeah.
your mindset. It starts with your ability to trust yourself and to offer trust
Mm-hmm.
to others.
I think that reminds me of the sphere of influence. I actually have it right here because I need a reminder, things I can control and things I cannot control. And
Yes.
I think about that like it starts with you. You can influence or um you can control how you influence others. You can control how you show up, how you see others around you. But you can't control how they feel about all of these things. And so you have to start with what you can control.
Yeah.
Love that.
One of the things, and I'll tie in a little bit of my Blanchard knowledge
Yay.
here. I know talking about Franklin Covey, because that is what I teach. We
Yeah,
do we
yeah.
do have SL2 at
Woo! Love
we
some
do
good SL2.
we do that. So but tying it into that, right? You can't really have true conversations
Mm-hmm.
using SL2 knowledge and language, and having those really true, clear conversations if you don't have trust.
Right.
Because somebody's not going to be able to come to you and say, oh gosh, I'm at a D2 here. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. or, hey, I'm in a D1. I'm so excited. But I don't know anything. You know, they're not going to be able to come to you as a leader and say those things
Right.
if you aren't giving them the space to do that.
Right.
You know, if you're just kind of, if you're treating them always like a D2 when they're a D4,
Yep.
you can't do that. So
Yep.
you got to have that trust to be able to have those successful conversations.
Yes. So, last question I have for you. What is one leadership moment that changed the way you think about trust?
Naming one moment is really hard. Um, However, again, like reading more about trust and learning more about it in this last year, it's kind of been the light bulb moment for me, and being able to look back at various situations, and I can see where there was trust or there wasn't trust,
Mm-hmm.
and where it created an environment that would keep me inspired and connected to the mission. And so I have an example that I share in one of the classes that I teach that kind of explains this and shows how that trust can help
Mm-hmm.
inspire and connect you back. So I'm going to share that if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so this is when I started my role as a talent development program manager at Amazon. Uh, my leader asked me to create an internal podcast to help share information around personal and leadership development. So we were a very, very small team supporting a very, very large audience. And the initiative it seemed like a great way to bridge the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And so creating this podcast, it helped me connect with individuals in our customer base. And I interviewed people like the VP of our organization, all the way down to the front lines of talent acquisition. And it was really inspiring, right, to gather and share those stories in certain episodes. And there's
Mm-hmm.
one particular story that always stood out to me. And it's from a leader who shared his transformation from what he called an F5 type leader. This is not an F5 tornado. This is F5 on your computer where you're
Okay.
refreshing your report. You're sitting there like
Got
refreshing.
it.
Like, why is it not getting better? Why is it not getting better?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yet you're just sitting at your computer, not doing anything but hitting F5. He transformed from that to being a leader who truly knew his team. And the shift in that approach, it not only improved their performance, but it deepened his connection with them, right? Illustrating that profound impact of genuine leadership, that connection, that trust.
Mm-hmm.
So following up with episodes, right, I got to tie them into like something that was mentioned in interviews. It allowed me to create this like continuous dialogue and learning experience to our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And this process of like sharing and reflecting helped me see the incredible value of storytelling and learning from the experiences of others.
Mm-hmm.
And each story, it inspired me in different ways and fueled my purpose for creating the podcast. And ultimately, right, the experience helped me to realize the power of connection, both to the purpose and to the people around us. It reinforced my belief in the importance of sharing stories and learning from each other, which continues to inspire me every day. And I'm
Yeah.
incredibly thankful for that leader, for that opportunity to be trusted with that and trusted with the that task of bringing these things to the organization.
Yeah.
And you know, that's probably one of the biggest moments where like that trust has just really helped me, you know, since then just continue to grow and push myself
Mm-hmm.
to do more storytelling and connect with more people and really focus on results in the human side of things. It's
Yeah.
not about numbers. It's about how people are growing and learning and
Mm-hmm.
together. And so there.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. I want to take a stab at this question as well. One leadership moment that changed the way I think about trust, because it's not necessarily a moment in time, but it's a time in my career, and it is a reflection on you. So I hope
You're gonna make me cry.
I don't want to make you cry, but gosh darn it, I want to share this.
Prepared. I'm
Um,
prepared.
I I just remember, I always say that you don't get to leave your baggage, your personal life at the door. And I know that sometimes some people do choose to separate work from personal, but something that you did when I reported to you. You would reach out with just the simplest of good mornings almost every single day, and working virtually, getting that check-in. I still have some colleagues that I work with now that do that, and it's like you were showing me that I was seen. And you would check in, like our one-on-ones would start with like, how are you doing? No, not that. How are you doing, Sarah? And you wanted to connect with me just human to human. And um, that just opened up, like I felt seen. I trusted you. I still trust you. Obviously, it developed into a lifelong friendship that I'm incredibly grateful for. But I knew that no matter what, I could come to you and ask questions. If I didn't know what I was doing, I like there was no dumb question. You never, it just never felt like this. You had created this environment of trust. And it just reminds me to always connect with people as people first. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for sharing that with me. Like
Yes.
it's the good morning thing I think is so funny. It's something that like I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
Every day I say good morning to my team. I say
Yeah.
good morning to our big group chat that we
Yeah.
have like with our whole org in it. And it's in a virtual world, that is you walking down the hall
Yes.
and seeing people at their cubicles. Morning, morning,
Yes.
morning. And it's just something little
Mm-hmm.
for me, that like to let people know, like, well, number one, like I'm here and I see you. If you're here,
Yeah.
great. Like, let's drop in a funny meme or something like that.
Yes.
And there are some people that don't do it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay, but this is who I am, and I want you to know that I am happy that you're here today.
Yes.
And that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Somebody else is here.
And it was so cool because I remember we had some folks across the pond, and I remember that like they'd hop on and like good morning, and then we'd all get on and we're like good afternoon. you know and even just like checking out at the end of the day, it's, you're right, it's us walking down the hall and saying bye bye, yep, I'm off to pick up the kids. It's not that anyone's micromanaged or wanting to know where you are, what you're doing, or why you left at 2:30 instead of 4 o'clock today. um but that all comes back to that environment that as our leader you created. Like there was never a concern of like, if I say goodbye right now, what's Heather gonna think?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that's you're 100% right. It comes back to that environment where it doesn't feel like being micromanaged because I had somebody that worked for me a little while ago, and when we were doing that, like that was something at their previous job that it wasn't a
right,
like so glad you're here. It was a what time did you get here? What time
right,
did you leave? It was a micromanagement thing. And it took them a minute because they would even sometimes, like if they were running to get coffee or they needed to run to the store, like they would put it in chat. I'm like, you don't have to tell me. Or if they're running late
right,
because the, daycare was, not open on time or something, like that's not,
right,
that's fine. Like, and I had to let them know, like, hey, listen, like, thanks for telling me. Thanks for telling me. But you don't have to.
right.
Like, this is not a micromanaging thing. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it to say, oh, you got here at this time.
right.
No, you're an adult.
Yeah. Do your
You
job,
know,
get your work done.
I expect you to do your job and turn things in. And you know what? If something happens and, you couldn't get here because your car broke down and you're a couple hours late, you know what? You can make it up over the rest of the week. Just make
Right,
sure your work is done.
right.
That's what I expect. So I
Yeah,
know not every role is like that. So let me just put that out there. I know that there are
right.
people,
Yeah.
production lines and
Fortunate
stuff
to
like
be.
that. That doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So, but in the context of where I have, of what I do and
Yes, yes.
where I work,
Same.
that is how it can work. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Oh, Heather, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm so grateful to have had you here today. And as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you for sharing your leadership knowledge and your story with us. And thank you so much for joining us today.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me. And happy if anybody wants to connect with me, they're welcome to reach out. LinkedIn is where I am I guess the easiest to find.
Yeah, and I'll drop that in the notes on the episode so that they have an easy link to connect with you. Absolutely. So thank you, folks, for joining in and sharing your time with us. And until next time, we invite you to join us in the Blanchard community to unpack more conversations around leadership. Thank you. Want fast, flexible leadership development? Check out the Blanchard Leadership Marketplace. On-demand courses, a fabulous subscription pass, and 15% off your first order because you are a Leadership Unfiltered listener. Just use code COMMUNITY15. Go to store.blanchard.com and start growing today.